Hello everyone, welcome back to a new research video. So last week me and Sean uploaded a video and it was about speaking. Obviously it wasn't exactly about video making, it was more public speaking, but it was something that could really improve our video making. This week I've been researching everything when it comes to video making, and that's planning, recording, editing, even making thumbnails, the whole lot. This week I'm going to teach you what I learned and hopefully you enjoy. So from everything I learned from this week, the pre-recording stage is something that I realized I struggle with and could be the reason why my videos aren't getting better. So there's really two things about the pre-recording stage that I'm going to talk about. So the first one is having an intention before you record your video, before you do anything. The intention is basically what the point of your video is, which questions you're answering, who are you trying to basically make this video for, and once you do all that, once you know exactly what your video is, what you want it to look like, it will be much easier to record, plan, edit as well. It's going to make it much easier and less stressful. Second, this is a plan, and what I did, basically, me and Sean, what we do, we're just going to write a simple list of what we want to talk about, and then we sort of just casually talk about it. What is the best way to write a plan? First of all, when you're writing a plan, I highly recommend using a notebook or something you can physically write, because you can actually cross things out. It's much easier and more fun too. The way you write a plan is you split it into clips. First I'll say intro. I'll break down what you're going to say in it. So just write the broad thing. I want to cover this, this and that. And then underneath those, you write more specific things of what you want to say. Say there's a joke you want to say there's something you want to do because you have your intention and you want to use something in editing. Write little notes like that. Slowly narrow it down. Keep writing notes under subheadings, and that's what you got to do. So now that you've got an intention in mind and you've planned out your video, you can begin. So before we go any further with the more technical stuff, first we have to get down our setup. And I don't mean you have to have a professional setup. Like, obviously my setup doesn't look that good, but I'm not using anything fancy. I've just got this iPad and I'm sitting next to the window. Let's cover the main things you have to basically keep the viewers watching and the basics you can get down. So first let's start with the framing. Framing is just where I'm positioning the screen, so it's basically satisfying for the viewer. As you can see, I'm in the middle, so it's a bit more satisfying. If I was too off to one side, too off to that side, it's not going to be pleasing and it's going to make it uncomfortable for the viewer and making it harder to continue watching. A way you can do this is use this 3x3 grid I'll put on the screen, and you can basically just fall in line with one of these to make it more pleasant to watch. Also, you don't want to have such a drastic angle like it's looking up on your chin or it's looking down at you. Obviously, if it's an interesting scene, you want to switch up your scenes, you'll look good, but you don't want to do that, especially just for a straight on talking. You want it to be at eye level most of the time. Next one is lighting. Lighting, people say, is probably the most important thing. If you don't have lighting, all these fancy cameras and all this equipment is not going to matter. And the reason lighting's so important is because if you're not lit up, if your face isn't lit up, it's very hard for the people to concentrate because they can't see your face and you're the one talking, giving all this info, right? And this is something I'm not proud of in my last video. I don't know why, but it was just very dark outside and the conditions were wrong for what we had, and it was very hard to see. Right now, my lighting still looks very average, and this is something I need to work on and possibly consider, you know, trying to get some lights in here, maybe changing the room. Also, recording outside is great. Right now it's cloudy. Getting something like a lamp is also great. This one's not that good though because it's very yellow and it really casts a shadow. There's certain things like ring lights and all this stuff you can get, and they do make a big difference. Next, let's talk about audio. And audio technically is half of the experience. So if you don't get this right, no one's going to want to watch your videos. This is something that I can't really change with my current setup. With our setup, we just use the iPad like I said, and we might have to stand further away. We might have to, you know, stand outside where it's windy or something. It's very hard to change, but take this into consideration. I'm going to do this. I'm basically going to try to be closer to the camera and not be in a super echoey place or where it's windy. Last video was raining and I had no choice but to record, so you could literally hear the rain. The next point for this video is changing up the scenery and having multiple different shots. As you can see, I'm outside now, and I'm only doing this for this video. It's not really practical to go outside, but I'm just trying to say it's good to change up the scenery to basically keep the viewers more interested and keep checking up on the video because something new is happening. I'm sitting right next to a tree of parrots, so you're probably going to hear parrot noises the whole time, completely discarding everything I said about audio. So changing up the shots and also zooming in, changing up the angle and doing new things to keep the viewer interested. On to the next part of the video. Now I want to talk about something called B-roll. I know this is a weird scene, but I'm just trying to switch things up and there's not actually that many different places where I can record, so yeah. What is B-roll? First of all, what is A-roll? A-roll is something like this, or when I was just sitting up there recording my main video clip. B-roll is something that you play in the background or as a cutaway, or even picture-in-picture was just a clip, say, coming on the screen like this. B-roll is something you'll see the highest level YouTubers doing, and basically any YouTuber that is good at editing, good at making videos. This really adds the cinematic or the professionalism to your videos and really takes it up a level. As you probably noticed in this video, I've been trying to use B-roll. It's the first time me really doing it, but it does really add more to look at in the videos, and it adds a lot more engagement, I think, personally. The whole point of B-roll is basically to engage the audience, and it does this because it's further explaining what you're doing. Know what I mean? So yeah, that's a quick tip. On to the next one. So now let's talk about probably the most important thing about making your videos that one bit better, editing. So these days, to see a video without any editing at all is quite strange. And I know when I'm watching videos, if I automatically see, oh, it's boring, it's one clip not edited, I'm probably not gonna stick along and I'm not gonna watch the video. So what are the most important editing tricks that you can do to take your videos to the next level? First one is to use cuts to your advantage. And this is just cutting out bits of video that you don't need. It's specifically used for cutting out bits where you're repeating yourself. It already means that you're not gonna be engaged with the rest of the video and you gotta click off. So it's very important to cut out the parts that you're repeating yourself or you're sort of rambling on. Next one I want to talk about is transitions and sound effects. I did not really know this, but after doing this research, I realized that this is what I like about other videos, is seeing multiple transitions and sound effects. And this keeps you engaged the whole time. And it's basically satisfying all your senses, your vision and your hearing. As you probably already noticed in this video, I'm using a lot more sound effects and cuts and transitions that basically make it more engaging and is switching up the video a bit. Now this one's a bit similar, but it's adding music or beats and basically other external sounds than just your video and just you talking. If our main goal is to get the viewer emotionally attached and more engaged, then why not get their emotions going with music? Now you want to play this quietly so you can subtly hear it, you can just notice it, but you're not going to fully get distracted. And like I said, a lot of people actually choose their music first to basically set the tone for the video, and they know how to act for the video, and the music is a big part of that. Now with the editing, there's not as much specific things I can tell you that will automatically make it better besides use cuts, use zooms, use sound effects, all these other things. Do it how you want, because a lot of the people that are going to watch you and watch YouTubers are watching because they like their style of editing, they like their style of video, they like their personality. So do it how you like it. Don't be cliche and don't copy other people. Lastly, I want to talk about this, but I'm going to be brief because I don't know much about it, and this is color grading. So say like with this footage, I might try color grade it because my face is very pale and certain things don't look quite right, and I might want it to match the rest of the video. So you might want to color grade or add a filter to your footage that basically makes it look nice. So in terms of making your videos better and your actual video, like editing, recording, all that stuff, I've covered most of it. But there's one more thing that I haven't mentioned, and that's making thumbnails. And I think this is really a part of your videos because it's what they click on before they watch it, and it is the reason why they click on it. I'm not going to talk about titles or what you name your video because that's not as important. Sometimes I spend a lot of time on my thumbnails, sometimes I spend 5 minutes. Most people who know what they're talking about, unlike me, and have been doing it for a long time and are good at it, say that you should spend a lot more time on your thumbnails. They say 3-4 more times than you already do. So first thing I'm going to do is start spending more time on my thumbnails. But what can you do to actually improve your thumbnails? What are the specific things that you need to include in your thumbnails that will make them stick out from the rest and get you good results? First of all, I want to talk about using your face, or the main thing that people associate with your channel, so they can basically differentiate other thumbnails, or when they see your thumbnail, they know it's from your channel. When taking a photo for a thumbnail, or just taking a screen grab from your video to use as your thumbnail, you might be a bit confused which one to use, but usually the best way to do it is pick one where it's obvious that you're showing an emotion, one of the 6 main emotions, you know, disgust, anger, happiness, surprise. There's 2 other ones I can't think of right now, but anyway, you got to use one of those, and that usually gets the most attention. Sometimes you might not want to use the photo. Like say I took a photo of this, it might not be the most appealing background or the most appropriate background for the video, so I want to cut myself out. I'm so angry that I haven't figured this out because for the past 3 years I've been basically always looking at these apps trying to find the best way to cut myself out of the image so I can paste it onto any background I want. But now I finally found it. I just stumbled across it, someone mentioned in a video, It's called remove.bg, remove background, and what it does, you just say on this computer, I got a download of, say I took a screenshot of this, I took a download of this photo, I'll use it on the screen now, I'll show you how easy it is. And you just upload the image in around 3 seconds, it automatically does it, and it gives you a PNG image, so just your image, and you can paste that onto whatever background you want. The next big thing you want to do with your thumbnails is add text. Now this is something I always do and I think I get pretty right, and depends on what video you're making is quite a necessary thing to have text. First of all, with YouTube, most people are viewing on their phone, so you gotta have big text so people can see. And also, make sure you have it on the left-hand side, because sometimes on YouTube all these little icons come up on the right and they can't actually see what it is. But it's also just important to put your most important thing on the left side. Now there is a rule people say with text, you don't want to use any more than 4 words, ideally less than 3. This is also because people won't be able to read it and you want to keep it simple. Now what do you write? What do you use? Which words do you write? Now you've really got 2 options. You can either do clickbait, which is basically write something like, I don't know, like it's a video of someone driving, right? He crashed then, or something like that. Something basically to grab someone's attention, or you can literally write what it is, saying driving in the New South Wales wilderness, and you can just write that, and it's pretty much what your title is and what you're doing. Either way works fine, but I wouldn't suggest clickbaiting too often. Make sure you don't use any fancy fonts because they do not work well on YouTube. Remember guys, all the elements on your thumbnail should be big, and the main things you want should be the main thing. There's really 2 different ways you can set out your thumbnail. So there's the 2-panel option where there's, say, the product. There's a product here on the left side because it's the most important thing. And then I've got my face here. That's called a 2-panel thumbnail. Or you could have a 3-panel thumbnail. That's where, say, the product is in the middle, me and Sean on the other side. That's a 3-panel thumbnail. And obviously both of these are good, but it's whatever works for you. Now, what are the biggest things that really grab people's attention in thumbnails? What are the things you should do? Things like using polar opposites, or before and afters, or verses, something that can grab people's attention that basically it's already telling them a story in the thumbnail. The whole idea of a thumbnail is to basically get people thinking and wanting to find out what happens in the video, so make sure you're getting people's curiosity going. An important thing to note with thumbnails is you don't want to have too much clutter in them. You don't want too much random things in the background to basically distract you from the main point. So if I had a ton of different things in the background, especially if I didn't put any writing, how would you know I was teaching you about how to make better videos? If I put things like tutorial about how to kick a football, most people don't read the title these days. So if you're just showing someone running in the park, or because it's just not a thumbnail and you don't even see a footy, how they gotta know? So you don't want to unorganized, you don't want it cluttered, so people know what they're getting before they watch. But yeah, that's pretty much it with thumbnails. Obviously, do it how you like. I like a certain way. Try to switch things up, but you also want people to recognize your thumbnail, recognize that it's you by looking at a thumbnail. Anyway, on to the next part of the video. Alrighty guys, we're on to the last point of this video. I've got to record this quickly because I've got to go somewhere, so this may be rushed. So we've talked about everything from editing to making thumbnails to just how to record, but we haven't talked about how to act and the most important thing when making a video. But the important things is that you're energetic and you're into it and you're not boring. Obviously there are different styles of videos, it might be a more serious topic, but you have to be engaged and into it. Also, make sure that you're making eye contact and you're not collecting your thoughts and looking into space all the time, because then the audience will be able to focus on you more. And if you're looking into space, they get distracted and they're not paying attention and they're gonna click off. Also, a very important thing is that you capture the audience's attention within the first 20 seconds of the video. If you don't get them by then they're already not going to be interested and they're not going to enjoy the video and click off. So try and make your intros interesting. Sometimes people use a clip from further in the video because, say they saw something on the thumbnail or the title, if you only show that part in the later part of the video, they're not going to stick around and it'll be a real put off. So make sure you put that in the first 20% of the video, so then they'll keep sticking around. Anyway guys, that's got to sum up this video. Hopefully you enjoyed. I've been researching for the past 4 or 5 days and I'm going to take all this info and apply it to my videos and hopefully they'll be better. Hopefully you'll learn something too if you watch till the end. Anyway, see you next video. Bye bye.